Hey guys, Vicebump here, bringing you this 10.2 Frost Death Knight viability prediction video. Today we'll talk about the upcoming patch and essentially how strong Frost will be in that patch. To gauge that, we're going to start by having a look at the current state of Frost, see how strong is it currently, what is changing with Frost, and how is that going to impact its availability coming into the next patch. So, Frost in Raid is kind of middle of the pack, right? We have our brother Unholy, who's extremely strong, which generally means that Frost gets the short of the stick where there's not that many people playing it, because they could just go Unholy and do more damage kind of thing. Still, we're nowhere near at the bottom. We have multiple bosses where Breath of Sinnoh is really strong, even on single target, and we have multiple bosses where we can run Obliteration and deal gigantic cleave. Like Frost DK is almost the top pass on StarCraft Mythic, for instance. So it's definitely able to put out DPS in the situations it needs to, right? I wouldn't, I'd say it's kind of like A tier, where it will deal good damage, but it's not like broken good damage, like an Ola, for instance. In Mythic Plus, we have the Obliteration build. We put our Defend do really big cleave. I would say we are definitely upper end of the pack when it comes to dealing lots of damage. However, we're kind of not meta because we lack some important utility that is really useful when pushing keys, for instance. And our damage profile isn't the best. We don't do that much burst single target, for instance. Anyway, 10.2, what changes? How is that going to impact us, right? So we actually didn't get like any changes at all, really, to the base kit. We got a Soul Reaper buff, but that was just because they buffed Unholy Soul Reaper, and that just gets inherited by Frost. So that's going to be used in single target, by the way. Instead, what we need to look at is how good is the tier set and what are the fights looking like. So the tier set is similar in terms of power to the old one, so no change there. For single target, at least. In AoE, it's worse when it comes to big AoE damage because it's centered around Chill Streak, which is a 2-target ability. Like it does its maximum damage on 2 targets and doesn't scale after that point. Sure, we're gonna get a damage buff from it. We're gonna get resources, runes, empower rune weapons, cooldown reduction, that kind of thing, which is gonna scale, but it doesn't scale as well as the old set. I think due to Unholy kind of taking a loss in 10.2, where it's not as strong as it is currently. It's currently broken. It's not going to be broken next tier. It means that Frost is going to be a much more viable play, specifically for progression. There's multiple fights where Breath of Sinnoh is looking really strong. You have quite a lot of cleave coming into play. You have lots of magic damage you can soak from abilities, which means that you can kind of top the meters essentially in specific scenarios. Especially in raid testing, Frost was looking really strong, but it's difficult to tell if that was just, some augmentation dudes designed to buff you, that kind of vibe. Who knows? Some fights are pretty terrible for Breath, like the council fight where you turn into a dock. That's exactly the kind of fight we want to not play Breath because it's just going to exit our Breath prematurely. We're looking at like 80-90% Breath uptime, by the way, so whenever we can't stick to the boss for the entire fight, you're going to play Obliteration. Again, we have the Legendary coming into play. That's going to be after progression for some people, middle progression for others. We have no idea how strong it is, but it might actually mean that Obliteration overtakes Breath and becomes the meta talent spec for Frost. We will see. We don't know what the Legendary is, so I can't really say, but I think it would be weird if they made it bad, right? It probably is really powerful, so I think Obliteration is going to be good after a couple of weeks when we get the Legendary. For Mythic Plus, as I said, we're going to do less big AoE damage, but we're going to still have strong cleave, which is really good in Mythic Plus, because you can bring classes that deal like giga AoE, right? Unholy. Bring that, can do so much damage. But when you push keys, or when you're playing like a normal pug, those situations don't come up. You're going to be hitting 3-4 targets sometimes. And that's why Frost is really good, because it deals so much damage in those specific scenarios. And it's going to keep doing that. So I think it's going to stay the same as it is currently. It's going to be like up of the pack when it comes to damage throughput. But it's not going to be meta in any way. I think the final thing to discuss, any other items that is going to impact, like trinkets. So Frost isn't nearly as kind of reliant on having good trinkets as Unholy is. You kind of use the passive ones and then you're fine. They don't have that much synergy with the kit. We have very flat damage profiles. You just pick whatever is the best kind of passive, and then you could use an active as well, and that would be fine. So that's going to stay the same. Anyway, to summarize, in the raid, Frost is probably going to be played more, primarily because Unholy won't be as strong as it is currently. Also, multiple fights lend themselves nicely to breath builds where we can leverage soaking of magic damage to, bring that breath uptime up real high. And the same way, we're going to have a couple of fights where you can't play breath, and then you're kind of going to get stuck with obliteration, which probably won't be performing as well. For Mythic Plus, we're going to stay roughly the same. Maybe a bit worse because tier set doesn't scale as well in AoE, but we're still going to be doing really good cleave, which is good for us. Leave a comment down below. What do you guys think? What's your prediction? How is Frost DK going to look in 10.2? Is it going to be strong, bad, fun, good? Whatever, let me know. Consider subscribing, leave a comment, upvote, downvote, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.